You're now live. What's up, Instagram family? How's it going? Just wanted to come on here and have a little chat about Root and Reboot, my new course that is now open for registration and is running the first round in 2 weeks' time, which I'm so excited about. So in this course, as the title suggests, we are going to be unpacking the themes and energy surrounding the root chakra. And the root chakra is the first energy center in our body at the very, very tip of our tailbone, at the base of our sacrum and the bottom of our spine. And the reason it is so vital to understand these energetic levels of the body is because each energy center, each chakra corresponds to a huge aspect of life that almost dictates that if this aspect isn't accounted for, then how are you going to progress and integrate onto the next lessons? So trying to live your life without the root chakra being balanced is like trying to build a house without solid foundations, right? The root chakra, it's all about those foundations, that base level, that structure that allows for the rest of the organism to grow, to expand, to just become more of itself, basically. Because if you think about the roots of the tree, they are so deep into the earth. But in order for those trees to have grown those deep roots, it took a really long time, and it took nourishment, and it took care, and it took a lot of energy for that tree to form those deep, thick, stable roots. And so when we put this into our own context, into the human understanding context, we can equate our roots to where we came from. And so this is connected to the home, it is connected to community, it is connected to ancestral lineages, it is connected to childhood, it is connected to the basis of who we are. And that basis is our bodies, it is the physical, it is the flesh, it is that primal connection to earth. Because the earth's body is just an extension of our body and vice versa. And so the way that we view, treat, perceive, and behave towards our own bodies is just a reflection of the way we connect to the earth. And so connecting to the earth as if it was your own body is a really beautiful understanding to start integrating into your life, because you're not going to, just like I choose not to put junk food in my body, I also choose at the same time to not litter. You know, it's like this one and the same understanding. And so when we can start connecting to the earth as if she was an extension of our own living, breathing support system, because she pretty much is, right? Like the air and the oxygen and all that nourishment that we get from the natural world is a part of us. And so when we come into this deep communion, this deep connection to earth as an extension of our own being, as an extension of our own body, it starts to create a very natural understanding, you know, like just the way that you look at every single tree, and no tree is the same, but they're all so beautiful and strong and tall and stable. That's a lens that we can start applying to each other and to our own bodies. You know, like, we are all so perfect and unique and beautiful, and the only thing that profits off of you hating your body is the system, is capitalism, is the beauty industry, the fashion industry, all these industries that profit off of you not being satisfied with what you've been given, what you have received in this in this lifetime. And so coming to that deep connection, that deep self-love for yourself, for your body, you know, it's that view, that lens that you can have when you look outside and you see how beautiful the light hits the mountain and how unique and beautiful each individual flower on the same bush is. You know, it's this really primal understanding that we can come together and really connect with, right? Because it's all about, how can I live a more authentic life? How can I be in my authenticity? How can I... And this is the gift of the root chakra, is authenticity, is trust, is acceptance. But the shadow of the root chakra is repression and fear. And the thing about repression, fear, shame, is it really blocks us. It distorts our perceptions of ourselves and of others. And when we can come to a true, authentic relationship with ourselves and with our own bodies, then that's a strength that we can really extend outwards. You know, we can extend that strength and that resilience and that connection to others and really start seeing others on that beautiful, authentic level where we aren't expecting them to be what they're not. You know, just like, if I know I'm a certain size, I'm not going to go buy the wrong size, because then I'm trying to force myself into a mold, to fit a mold that I'm not actually designed to fit, you know. And within this human existence, there is no correct mold. It's life is what we make it, you know. And your power is going to come from your most authentic expression, your most authentic truth. But the thing that we have to understand is that authenticity is blocked by trauma. I'll repeat that again. Authenticity is blocked by trauma, because trauma, it distorts our perceptions of reality. It makes us look through the lenses of our own wounds. Hi, Sarah. It makes us look through the perceptions of our own wounds. And that is often a very distorted perception. It's a very victimized perception, right? We victimize ourselves and we say, oh, the world is out to get me. Oh, you know, we blame the external constantly. But that power, when we take that power back, it's about coming internal. You know, every time we look outside of ourselves for the solution, we give our power away. Every time we rely more on the external, whether that is pharmaceuticals, whether that's advice from friends, whether that's, you know, therapists, or I'm not saying none of these things can help. It's beneficial along the journey, but to have that true, authentic process of healing and, you know, coming out the other side of that challenge, it is done through a very clear, calm, sober mind, right? Because when we are overcomplicating things and becoming hysterical and anxious and depressed, it really blocks us from receiving the the deep messaging of that experience, the deep messaging of that trauma, that intensity, you know. And this all comes down to safety. Which is another very important theme of the root chakra, is the establishment of safety. Because if our nervous system doesn't feel safe to feel challenging emotions based on our past childhood trauma, we will suppress our emotions. Even just the simplest, some of us may have grown up in households where it was frowned upon to cry. And crying is such a beautiful, such a natural process. But if we grew up in a household where it wasn't safe for us to cry, then that creates a block. It creates a traumatic adaptation within our body, because crying is a natural process. But because it wasn't safe for us to cry, our nervous system and our ego, our subconscious, has created a little ding, ding, ding. It is unsafe for me to cry because X, Y, and Z will happen. I will get punished. I will get shouted at. Like, it will be unsafe for me to cry. And therefore, it creates this block. The uncomfortable experience, the uncomfortable feelings is the body's way of bringing our attention to whatever is underneath the surface, to the trauma, to the challenge, to the event that needs our attention, that needs our awareness, that needs our acknowledgement, right? Because something can only be healed when it is in our conscious awareness. It can only be dealt with when we are fully and consciously aware of it, right? But a lot of the time we have been taught to suppress our emotions and suppress our trauma and tell ourselves, I'm fine, right? But then it's going to come to a point where all that suppression is now building up, and then suddenly you get triggered and bam, there's an explosion. And bam, all this energy, all this emotion, all this, and sometimes it's years and years and years of trauma that comes out, because, because a trigger, what a trigger is trying to do is show us where our blind spots are, right? Where we're not looking, what we're not consciously aware of. And I said this in my other IGTV video that, we act from the subconscious 95% of the time. And our subconscious was programmed, was created, learns everything that it knows between the fundamental ages of 0 and 7. And so if we grew up in a traumatic environment or around a lot of violence or a lot of shouting, or, trauma doesn't have to be something like death or molestation. Trauma can be minor things, right? And as a child, it's the same feeling, it's children don't differentiate between mom says no, that being traumatic, and a hectic event like a car crash and that being traumatic, it's the same intensity, Trauma can be you in the car with one of your parents and you're talking to them, and then suddenly they pick up the phone and you get cut off. Like, that's traumatic. You in that moment didn't feel heard. But that's the thing, that's the power that we can bring as adults and bring with our conscious awareness to our triggers, is the realization that triggers were formed in childhood to keep us safe, right? To keep us out of danger, to protect us. But now, as an adult, that protection is no longer necessary because the danger may or may not still be in your life, right? And the nervous system is an insanely clever thing. It is so divinely designed because it uses past experiences to make decisions about present or future events. So when we've had a past traumatic experience, we need to realize that if we do not acknowledge the depth of the impact that trauma had on us, even if we think that it was no big deal, right? It's going to continue haunting us. It's going to continue to plague us and actually come and bite us in the bum when we least expect it. Because our triggers are just connected to these old experiences. The trigger isn't about the present situation. The trigger is about how the present situation triggers an emotion that is usually coming from the brain and emotional understanding of a 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old, right? And so we start to react to the current situation with the emotional intelligence of a child. And so that's why childhood trauma and addressing these wounds is so fucking important. And if you don't, it's going to come up in your intimate relationships. It's going to come up in your sex life. It's going to come up in friendships until you acknowledge that, we all have trauma. We all have grown up in a violent, patriarchal, capitalist, materialist, narcissistic society. We all have trauma just because we all live on this planet and no one is perfect. And even if you think that your parents are perfect, like, they will try their best, but no one is perfect. And it's all about that understanding of perception versus reality, mind over matter. Because all this trauma, it's stored in the body. It has a psychosomatic effect. The soma is to do with the body. It's in the body. It lives in the body. It lives in the memory of our cells. That is where trauma is stored. Trauma is stored in the body. And so we cannot, just like we cannot think our way out of anxiety, we cannot think our way out of an emotion. We have to fully feel it and process that emotional roller coaster through the body, through the soma. We cannot outthink these things. It creates a huge cognitive dissonance, a huge gap in our understanding, because like I said, emotions and trauma are in the body. And so we cannot use our mind to get rid of something that's in our cells, that's in our joints, that's in our muscles, that's in our body, that's in our organs. And so this body intelligence is something that I work very, very deeply with in Root and Reboot, because a lot of people don't realize that the mind is a separate intelligence to the body. The masculine energetics, so we all have masculine and feminine energetics within us, every single person. the masculine energetics come from above and exist within the top half of our body, exist within the mind, within the mental, within the physical. The feminine aspects of who we are exist within the body, exist within the emotional and the spiritual, right? And so part of reclaiming our sovereignty as individuals and, trying to reprogram ourselves out of this capitalistic very toxic patriarchal, white supremacist patriarchal programming that we've grown up with is about reclaiming your relationship to your own body. And that means knowing what is right for you and not allowing any external force to influence your perception of who you are at your core. Because when you know who you are, you can deeply ground yourself into that. You can deeply ground yourself in knowing your boundaries, in knowing your needs, in knowing what turns you on, what makes you feel safe. And knowing those things is fucking empowering. Because then as soon as someone does cross your boundary, or as soon as someone does make you feel unsafe, you have the conscious awareness, instead of trying to project that anger and resentment, you can have that conscious awareness and realize, right, this person triggered me, or this situation triggered me because it crossed this boundary, and it crossed this boundary because I have a past wounding that relates to this, right? And boundaries are going to look different for everyone. Boundaries is also something that we dive deeply into in this course. Boundaries look different for every single person, and it's a very unique journey discovering and understanding your boundaries. It's a unique journey for every single person, and my boundaries are not going to be your boundaries, and your boundaries are not going to be my boundaries. And that's why it's so important to know who you are, know what you need, and when you have that strength, that resilience, then we can start working on how can we communicate this? How can we externalize this boundary or externalize this need, But it all has to come from within. It all has to come from within. It all starts with the self. You cannot expect others to know your boundaries, to know your needs, to understand your triggers, if you don't understand them first. We are not mind readers, and conscious communication is so, so crucial in this whole process. Another thing that I deeply work with in this course is nutrition, and how can we keep our mind, body, and soul healthy from the inside out. And how can we get rid of toxins in our environment? And that all starts with choosing to stop putting toxins into your body. Your body is a natural vessel, and just like the water, the pure rivers are getting polluted, our body, our system gets polluted with all the sugar and crap and fake hormones and preservatives and all this shit that we put in and on top of our body. The epitome of health is understanding how your daily choices affect your overall health. affect your mental health, affect your physical health, affect your emotional health, affect your spiritual health. We are going holistic here. It is so important because we cannot isolate the emotional from the mental anymore. We cannot isolate the physical from the spiritual anymore. It is all connected. And we need to start viewing ourselves and the external reality through this holistic lens. And so part of getting rid of toxins and nourishing our body is choosing to eat well, choosing to eat regularly, choosing to eat healthy, choosing to have a large variety of foods that you eat and put into your body. I go into this course, I speak about gut health, also such a huge factor when it comes to mental health. Did you know that 90% of your feel-good hormones, 90% of your serotonin is produced in your gut? 90%. That is fucking massive. There are so many neurons in the gut, and there is more communication from the gut to the brain than there is from the brain to the gut. Our organs have their own consciousness, and that is something I'm going to get into in a little bit. But just going back to gut health, it is vital that we start making the links between our physical health, our mental health, our emotional health, and our spiritual health. Because when we eat unhealthy food, when we put toxic chemicals onto our skin, when we, smoke shit, like all that vape juice, it's like fucking disgusting. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I never smoke a vape every now and then or a cigarette every now and then, But we have to start trying to become as natural as possible, because every time we put toxic chemicals into our body, it creates a stress response from our body, and that stress response can symptomatically become anxiety or depression or so many different things. That stress response, if our body is constantly stressed based on just what we're putting into it and on it, how do you think you're going to have the capacity to handle the stress from your environment, to handle the stress from work, from your job, from friends, from relationships? And so being grounded and rooting into your being is a form of supporting your body on a natural level. That's why it's so important that we start transitioning away from toxic cosmetic products, toxic cleaning agents, toxic cookingware products, like all these different things that are in our household daily environment. Do you want to know something fucking scary? Fake fragrances, right? And this is the scary thing. Companies aren't legally even have to put fragrance chemicals on the product. They can just say fragrance. It can just say parfum, whatever, parfum. They don't even have to say that. But the thing is, in those unnatural fragrances, there is microplastics. And when we breathe in that microplastics from the deodorant, from the cream, and when it gets absorbed into our skin, from the perfume, it actually is an endocrine disruptor. The endocrine glands are our hormone producing glands. It's like blows me away that this isn't common knowledge. Fake fragrances prevent you from being able to have babies. They disrupt your sexual organs. They disrupt your sexual reproductive system. I don't even know how these chemicals are not illegal. The thing is, they exist in such micro amounts that they're legally okay, because they're not going to kill you after one application. But after continual use over many, many years, you will start to experience adverse side effects from the toxic creams and perfumes and cleaning agents that you're using. Even car air fresheners. These toxins are in everything. And until we start taking full embodied responsibility of our health, we are going to stay at the same level. Because we need to start replacing the toxins with more natural alternatives so that it's less stressful on our system. And this isn't only about replacing chemical toxins, it's also about replacing toxic belief systems. Another thing I go into in this course is the belief systems that we've been surrounded by, and the hierarchies and binaries and disconnection that these belief systems create within our own being. How can we feel connected to ourselves if we don't even know what that feels like? That deep, deep, true connection, right? So we need to start bringing in nourishment through our beliefs, through the people that we hang out with, through our environments, through spending time in nature, through getting sun exposure. There is so much potency in getting sunlight. Pure sunlight, not sunlight that's been filtered through sunscreen. I'm just going to turn on the light quickly because it's getting a bit dark. That's better. Way better. So what was I saying? Yeah, bringing in nourishment into our daily lives. Another thing that is a huge part of this course is cultivating a daily self-love, self-devotion practice. This can look, so in the course I have pre-recorded meditations, breath work. I've created workbooks that have journaling prompts. I've also then created embodiment practices, and then I had a friend help me film yoga classes. And so one of the foundations of this course is creating and cultivating a daily morning ritual. A daily ritual where you show up on your yoga mat and you practice yoga for half an hour, and you do 10 minutes of breath work, and then 10 minutes of meditation, and then 10 minutes of journaling. If you add that up, it's about 60 minutes in total of pure presence, pure uninterrupted, non-distractive presence with yourself. And when you think about your entire day, 60 minutes is nothing. 60 minutes of self-love and connection to your body, and working out and connecting to your breath and regulating your nervous system for the day ahead. It's nothing. And so we need to learn how to cultivate this daily practice, this daily discipline, this daily devotion, because I'm a firm believer in the way that we show up for ourselves on a daily basis will then set the tone for the rest of the day to follow. So if you show up for yourself and first thing in the morning you're all over the place and you're drinking your coffee on the go and eating breakfast on the go and like doing this and calling this person, voice noting, like of course you're going to have a stressful day. Of course you're going to have a hectic day because that's the way you started it, right? It's all about coming back to what is your intention? How much presence, deep, true presence have you cultivated? Have you checked in with your nervous system? Have you asked yourself how you're feeling today? Because when you know how you're feeling, you can be a lot more prepared for the day ahead, right? Because you're like, okay, cool, little awareness bubble. I need to be aware that I'm feeling a little bit sensitive today, or I'm feeling a little bit anxious today, or I'm feeling a little bit low today, low energy today, right? And so when we cultivate this daily practice, a lot of the time, the emotions that we've woken up with, whether they're sticky or contractive or not really that pleasant, can be worked through and worked out through this daily practice, through this daily dedication to show up for yourself no matter what. And once you develop this practice, that's something that no one can take away from you. The resilience and strength that you build up within your own being through deeply intimate practices like journaling and meditation and breath work and yoga. No one can take away that strength from you because it's so intimate and it lives deeply within your body. Right? It's all about the embodiment. How can you embody your emotions on a deeper level? How can you embody your authenticity on a deeper level? How can you embody your integrity? It all comes down to this. What is your level of embodiment? And if you're just pushing things to the side saying, I'll deal with that later, 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 you know, later is gonna come sooner or later. You better hope sooner, but it might just blow up in your face, you know, and trigger you the fuck out. But when we show up daily, we can actually create that sacred practice, that sacred container to be able to cultivate self-awareness, emotional intelligence, emotional awareness, you know. And we can actually expand our nervous system just through these beautiful, simple practices. And most of the time, you will find that because you've created this sacred container, that's where all your shit will want to come out or will come out, right? And so once you've set aside that time to work through whatever is challenging or whatever is difficult for you, it's so much easier to move on with your day knowing, right, I'm so happy I addressed that within myself. I'm so happy I looked at that. I'm so happy I allowed myself to rant in my journal about how that person hurt me. I'm so happy I was able to just give myself that deep self-love through space and time. Because time really does heal all wounds. It really, really does. But the thing is, it's not the time that heals. It's the space. It's that coming from that relaxed nervous system, that open heart, that open mind, that open womb, right? Because nothing can happen, no change can take place if we're constantly contracted, constantly stressed, constantly living in fight or flight. And that's another thing our society has programmed into us, is that we need to be in fight or flight all the time because we live in a very confronting, very violent, very hectic world, right? And so it's a natural response for our nervous systems to go into fight or flight. Our nervous systems are a very ancient part of our brains and a very ancient part of our bodies. And so the nervous system that was in my ancestors that helped them run away from lions when they were out hunting is the same nervous system that's within me now. But okay, Jess, I'll see you soon. But we have that still within us, right? And we need to be able to manage that, because there are no lions for us to run away from anymore, but they are very intense situations. And so we need to learn how to regulate our nervous system so that we can stop living in fight or flight. And a lot of people fight, flight, or freeze, right? The parasympathetic nervous system response. No? Sympathetic nervous system response. I think that's it. I always get them confused. So we need to be able to regulate our nervous systems. And the thing is, we also co-regulate with each other. So if someone else is in an intense emotional state, you can be the strong one to hold that space, to hold that energy and be like, okay, I am going to help co-regulate this person through my calmness, through my groundedness, through my centeredness. Most people don't even realize that they live majority of their lives in fight or flight. Most of the time, it's a very subconscious thing. But it's so easy to read it in people's body language. You will literally notice immediately whether someone is coming from a confident, open, expanded, curious place, or if they're coming from a contracted and like, I'm scared and, I'm not confident, I don't believe in myself, like, I don't think I deserve love. Like, it's so easy to see that. It's communicated through the energetics of our bodies. A lot of the time, people think, I don't understand energy, it's so woo-woo. Like, yes, maybe your mental constructs of your mind doesn't understand that, but our bodies the language of our body is emotion, and emotion is just energy in motion. And so our bodies can immediately recognize an open, expanded nervous system versus a contracted nervous system, right? And a lot of people will only realize the state of their nervous system until they are put in a very vulnerable, confrontational space, like a sexual intimate experience, right? And so that's where the triggers will come out. If you are constantly suppressing, constantly ignoring what the triggers and what your subconscious is trying to tell you, right? Through the sensations in your body. Because the body communicates with us all the time. It's constantly communicating with us through sensations. But we've been made to have a hierarchy of sensations, that feeling joy is at this level and feeling sadness is at this level. And so obviously I want to choose joy over sadness because joy is better. But that is fucking toxic. That is toxic positivity. You cannot have the one without the other. And we need to stop seeing them on this hierarchy. We need to see processing joy as just as important as processing sadness, because they work in conjunction, right? You wouldn't know what joy was without sadness, and you wouldn't know what sadness was without joy. It is how we form our understanding of the world, by having these referentials. We create our understanding through references, through a referential subjectivity. Yo, I get so passionate about this. My throat gets sore. Luckily, I've got some yummy ginger tea. I know that was a lot, and it's a lot to digest, but it's fucking empowering when you start connecting the dots between yourself, others, the world, the environment, society, psychology, everything. It is all connected. Health. I'm gonna make a whole live on just health, because it's too much to go into. But your health needs to be your priority. There is a reason the pandemic is at the level it's at, because not enough people in this world prioritize their health. Not enough people prioritize their physical health. Not enough people eat healthily on a daily basis and realize why that is necessary. The systems of power don't want you to be healthy. They want you to be codependent. They want you to keep coming back for that prescription, for those drugs, for that like snack, for that fizzy drink, for that sugar. Sugar is a drug. We need to start understanding this. Sugar is a drug. And it is so addictive. So addictive. And so when we stop putting these addictive substances into our bodies stop trying to reach for that external substance, that external help, that external this, like that craving, that addiction, right? And when we come to a sober way of being, a sober mind, a sober body, we can then have a clear energetic channel. Because the physical affects the spiritual, the energetic, so much more. Whereas the energetic or the spiritual will lightly affect the physical. It's like a trickle down effect, because physical energy, it's very dense, whereas spiritual energy, it's very light and high vibrational. And so by doing these daily physical practices of staying in alignment, of eating well, of connecting to your food, of creating presence, of meditating, of having a dialogue through journaling between your internal and external world, it creates that open channel that allows you to become more intuitive, more tapped into your divinely spiritual nature, more connected to yourself on that deep energetic level. It is all coming from within, and it is all about how we choose to perceive ourselves. Because when we have an open channel without any drugs, alcohol, sugar, or bullshit, toxic belief systems clouding that channel, clouding that pure, authentic way of being in our bodies, we can have a higher connection to the world around us, a higher connection to nature, a higher connection to reality. And we can have that conversation between us and reality. It can become a beautiful conversation, because we are not separate. We're not separate from nature. And nature just doesn't speak through English, but nature speaks through energy and through emotions and through vibrations and through frequencies. And we really can commune with the earth, commune with the plants, commune with the rocks. It's all a part of our root system, connecting to nature as if nature was a family member, right? It must sound so revolutionary, but actually it's a very ancient way of being. One of my favorite quotes is that the future has an ancient heart, because all that we are integrating back into our lives is a old ancient understanding. It's an understanding that has been lost through colonization, through capitalism, through the patriarchy. And it is coming to understand that deep sensual connection to ourselves, to our bodies, and to the consciousness that exists within and without. The body holds such a deep consciousness, and this consciousness can be affected by the external environment. Hey Maddie, oh, so happy you're here with me, special soul. We have this connection. The consciousness that we see flowing through nature is the same consciousness that flows through us. It is all one of the same. And coming back to ourselves, coming back to this ancient wisdom, is about remembering what we have lost. It is about remembering what our ancestors put in motion. The human species is thousands and thousands of years old, but why are we still acting like children? Why do we still have kids running governments, making childish decisions? There is a huge lack of wisdom in our generation and in our society right now, because we lock our wisdom keepers up in old age homes, and we ignore them, and we tell them that they are senile and that they don't matter and that they have dementia, and we just put them away and we ignore them and we seal the box and not to think about that ever again. But the thing is, just like ancestral trauma, which I spoke a lot more about in my Connect to the Self and Body most recent IGTV video, ancestral trauma is connected to epigenetics and the way in which trauma, like I said before, buries itself in the DNA, in the cells, in the structure of the cells of our body, and therefore can be passed down through the DNA, through the cells, from our parents, from their parents into us, right? And so as much as we all hold ancestral trauma within our bodies, I'll tell you a secret. We also all hold ancestral wisdom in our bodies. But the thing is, wisdom has a higher vibration than trauma. Trauma has a lot more dense vibration, right? It's a lot heavier. So we have to clear the trauma. We have to clear the density before we can start receiving the wisdom. Because the wisdom will not land in a body that is constantly in survival mode, in a body that doesn't trust itself, in a mind that hasn't integrated previous lessons from previous situations and traumatic events. And so once we have cleared all our trauma, and I'm not saying that it's an easy process or a quick fix process. No, this takes many, many years, sometimes lifetimes. We will always be unpacking our trauma our whole lives. But there's going to come a point where like me, where you've done 3, 4 years of therapy, 5 years of therapy on this work, been unpacking, and there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. And the more you connect to this light, the more you see it as a beacon of hope and trust, the bigger the tunnel hole will get. And the more light will stream into your body, the more wisdom will come into your body, the more pleasure, the more sensuality, the more presence, the more intention, the more awareness, heart-centered awareness, conscious presence awareness. That is how we are going to bring back these ancient codes through our own bodies. I read something super interesting yesterday or today about, so in the ancient times, the ancients knew deeply what we have only been able to prove with technology today, right? Like astrology, things about the plants, like how did they know, how did the Amazonians know to mix this plant and that plant, and then you get the ayahuasca brew, and then, you know, that stops the DMT inhibitors in your stomach from turning on, right? How did they know that? They intuited it through their body. They intuited it. They communicated with the energy of the plants. And so they trusted their bodies to be a compass. They trusted their bodies to be an intuitive portal of knowledge. And so we can start reviving this. There are so many things that I just know. Like everything that I'm speaking to you about, I just know through my intuition. It is not something that I've studied. Like, yes, I do research and I read books and I listen to experts and I listen to podcasts, but most of the time that is just to reaffirm what I already deeply know within my body, within my being, within my intuition. And it is because I have opened up my channel and I am allowing myself to receive wisdom. I've said this before, but knowledge is something that you gain, something that you seek outside of yourself. Wisdom is something that you receive. It's something that you seek internally, that comes from within. So much potency in these codes. I hope you are absorbing and enjoying this conversation. Say hi if you're watching and are enjoying what I'm saying, if you're here live with me. It's powerful knowledge when we can stop seeking the answers outside of ourselves and truly realize, truly embody what it means to have everything within us. Truly embody that. And it's a process. It really is a process. Because you go through these phases of, can I trust myself? No, I can't. Can I trust myself? No, I can't. Can I trust myself? No, I can't. And it's a journey and it's beautiful. And it's meant to happen that way. And eventually you'll go, can I trust myself? Yes, or maybe not. And you go a little bit down. And then, And eventually that trust is a muscle. And so we have to practice trusting. We have to practice having that deep internal trust. Because deep internal trust, this is another theme that I address in the course. Deep internal trust cultivates deep external trust. We live in a very crazy, fucked up world There is no way that you can base your trust on the external. There is no way. It's not possible. There's too many factors. There's too many variables. There's too many unreliable factors. And so you have to cultivate that strength, that resilience, that trust from within. Because the universe only rewards those that are in full trust. Abundance is a mindset that's also deeply to do with the root chakra. Abundance is a mindset. And so even if you may only have like a couple monies in your bank account, you know, like just sitting in the, okay, even if the external environment isn't reflective of the trust that I need to cultivate, how can I cultivate that trust from within? How can I trust that, okay, somewhere, somehow, I'm going to be paid. Somewhere, somehow, someone is going to gift me something. Somewhere, somehow, you know, and it's not about knowing where it's coming from. It's not about, you know, it's about having many options for that abundance to come in. Many, many options and many avenues at which you can place your trust, right? And again, trust all comes down to safety and the safety that we feel within our bodies. And in order to feel safe, we have to expand our nervous systems and step out of this constant fight or flight mechanism. Because if we are constantly in that state of being, we are going to be constantly releasing micro amounts of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, micro amounts of adrenaline, another stress hormone. And so no wonder we're going to feel like on edge and like, give me that huge bottle of wine. I need to calm this down. I need to take the edge off. Like, yeah, it's like no wonder we're not turning to natural solutions and natural understandings of why we feel stressed, why we have issues with work and managing our stress and showing up and being our authentic selves. The answers you seek are not from outside of you. They're not at the bottom of a pill box. They're not at the bottom of the bottle. They're not outside of you. They're not in someone else's mind. They are within you. And conversations with therapists and doctors and other people can be amazing ways to reflect, to have that reflection, that bounce back of ideas. But they're not, you know, in the end, you need to integrate everything that you've processed, everything that you've taken in, everything that you've learned about what you want to understand and come from that authentic place of, okay, I am going to make this decision from based off everything that I've received, but in the end, it's my decision. And also why so many new age illnesses are so apparent today, ADHD, Tourette's, depression, etc., etc. Yes, exactly. Because we're constantly seeking for that external fix, that external validation, that external like quick fix solution, you know. The Black Eyed Peas called us the now generation because we just want it now. And the thing is, true healing, true transformation, true change doesn't happen in an instant. It happens over a long period of time with constant dedication, constant work and attention and love and acceptance and, you know, the ability to sometimes fail and fuck up and feel like you have a setback, but actually the setback that I had last week is very different to the setback that I had 3 years ago, you know? And so each time you have these so-called setbacks or episodes or triggers or whatever it may be, or however it may look for you, depressive episodes, anxious panic attacks, you know, however that may look for you, you need to realize that you were stronger than before. Because if you are not shaming yourself, then you are growing through that experience. But shame blocks us from learning. It blocks us from being able to integrate the lessons that experience is having on us. Yo, I've said a lot now. My throat's getting very sore. Aware, Simon, what's up? Sorry, just joining at the end of this chat, but I'm obviously going to save this as an IGTV video, so you can go ahead and watch it again. I actually have been speaking for a while now, so I wanted to just, maybe we can just do a little grounding meditation just to get back into our bodies. Maybe you want to give a bit of a stretch. Maybe you want to, miss you too, dude. Miss those red and yellow bands. Damn. Just come back home, come back to your body. Maybe you want to close your eyes, sitting up straight with your shoulders aligned over the hips. I'm just going to do a little grounding meditation for those that are still here. Closing the eyes, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Giving a little sigh, letting that excess energy release from the system, from the day. And again, inhale. And exhale through the mouth. So we're just going to do a little breath work and then meditation. So this is going to be a 3-part breath. So maybe you want to put your hands on your stomach. And we're going to start by breathing in through the stomach, feeling it fill up our stomach, abs, chest, and then exhaling chest, abs, stomach. Okay. Or should I say ribs rather than abs? Okay, so closing the eyes, inhaling. Stomach, ribs, chest. Hold, 2, 3. Exhaling, chest, ribs, stomach. And again, inhaling. Stomach, ribs, chest. Hold, 2, 3. Exhaling, chest, ribs, stomach. Now, sitting up straight, I want you to just feel your sit bones against the floor, the chair, the couch, whatever. Feel that contact, feel that physicality. And now move your attention to your tailbone and send your awareness there, send your breath there. And with every exhale, I want you to imagine the tailbone, your sacrum, becoming wider and spreading out more and more. Sending all your awareness to the tailbone. And from your tailbone, I want you to imagine roots growing from the base of your spine through the chair, through the couch, through the floor, growing, growing, growing. Remembering to breathe deep belly breaths as you visualize these roots growing, 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 growing. With every breath, you are feeding the growth of these roots. Feeling them breaking through the surface of the earth, breaking into the ground, spreading, 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 spreading. Deeper and deeper and deeper they grow into the earth until you reach the piping hot red solid core of the earth, the magma core. And I want you to see this fiery, glowing red ball of energy at the center of the earth. And I want you to visualize your roots touching this energy. And as they touch this core, it's the energy from the core, this red hot energy starts to travel back up the roots, up, 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 moving like water, like molten lava, all the way up, 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 until you can feel it come back into your sacrum, creating this warm, fuzzy feeling at your tailbone. Visualizing this red, hot, grounded energy, earthly energy pouring into your root chakra, pouring into your body, connecting you deeply to your earth star, deeply to your body, deeply to this source of resilience and strength that comes from the deep earth, the deep core, the true source. Just sitting here, feeling this energy pouring into your body. And if you can't feel anything, I want you to just visualize it. Keep that visual connection. Because your imagination creates reality. It really does, on a mind-bending level that we do not even understand. Your imagination is your key to the locked door of the quantum universe, of the quantum reality. Just continue breathing. And when you've had enough, when you feel full, when you feel like you've received enough energy from the core of the earth, I want you to slowly, with your breath, start reeling in your roots back through the surface of the earth, back up, 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 slowly coiling. Back through the foundations of the building, through the surface of the earth, up through the walls, through the chair, through the floor, and back into your body. Knowing that even though you reeled in your roots, this deep connection remains. All you've got to do is tap in and access it. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you, beautiful soul family. I hope that you received the wisdom and the codes that you needed to in this live. I'm sending you so much love. Registration for Root and Reboot closes on Monday the 30th, and then the course commences on Tuesday the 31st. So you have another 2 weeks. This is the cheapest I will ever launch this course at. No doubt about that. You're getting 3 weeks of content, 3 weeks of me, 3 weeks of live Zoom recordings, 3 weeks of engagements and pre-recorded content for such a good price. So if you feel the pull, join now to avoid disappointment later. I promise you. And even if it's just a tiny little voice, that is your intuition guiding you. That is your soul speaking to you, and your soul telling you, go this way. This is right for you. This is what you need. This is how you're going to expand your consciousness and expand your awareness and heal your nervous system. In love and light, I leave you, beautiful family. Stay grounded, stay connected, and don't forget that the best medicine is free. Nature, air, sunshine, pure water. It's all free. The best medicine comes from nature.